We need a coffee shop in town, and that would be a good place for one, right? I just, I mean.
Well, that used to be the gathering spot years ago.
Well,
The
and
old-
it was the gathering spot for
the
the
old-
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call.
Jimmy Wolf. Here. John Matus.
Here.
Debbie Harris Howard will be absent this evening. Richard Dory.
Present.
Greg Stewart.
Present.
Aaron Chase.
Present.
Greg McCarthy will be absent this evening. Jim King also is unable to attend. Number 4.
Adjustments to the agenda. Sorry, let's pull the forum, we have a forum. I'll open this to point. Okay. Adjustments to the agenda.
So I just wanted to make a note that we did have a new item on the agenda, which was the establishment of an antique retail shop on Route 202. They are unable to be at the meeting, so they submitted an email requesting that this be tabled until after the new year. So I would ask for a motion to formally do that.
Say a motion to move the item 6 to January meeting.
I'll make a motion to move the item 6, US Route 202 Cottage Antiques, map 55, lot 6, requesting conditional use permit, I'm guessing, be tabled until first January meeting,
January 14th.
January 14th meeting.
There's a second.
That.
Jamie, second. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Acceptance of minutes.
There are no minutes available for your review this evening. I'll have them up to date for January 14th.
Everybody good?
No, I'm sorry, they're not available, so
Okay, so
there
there's
will
no
be
action.
3 sets for the January 14th meeting. You'll have 3 sets of minutes to catch up on.
Okay, I now understand. There's no action there. Moving on to 5, old business, 12 Haywood Way. Updated presentation.
Yes, sir. Hey, thanks for everyone coming tonight. I know it's not your normal night. I appreciate we had that little snowstorm last week. Jim Coffin with Jim Coffin.
Just for you.
I appreciate it. Well, you had someone else cancel on you. So I don't know if you guys remember or not, and ladies, of course, we came in back in August or September, I believe. And we had other things going on since then. We put our heads together. This is how the parcel sits today with the house, the bunkhouse, and the deck off from there with the gazebo. That's not a fixed object. As you remember, we have a sewer easement coming right through the property, and all the setback lines are put on there so you can easily see what's inside 100 feet and what isn't. That being said, we moved the house back approximately just over 20 feet. I'm going to tell you why we did that. Show you a different plan that I cleaned up just so I can show it to you a little bit easier. So this is taking off quite a bit of the stuff. I highlighted that sewer easement right here so you could see it. We obviously can't put a building in the sewer easement or any part of it. So we put the corner right up to it right here. Jim's cousin, Jim Pepin's cousin, lives right up here. We're trying to save the viewport for her because she's going to lose her mind if she can't see the lake. So we positioned the garage here. We've left almost 12 feet between the buildings, 10 by code, if you will, fire code. So one burns, the other one doesn't. And that got us at this distance that was 20 feet off from the original spot for a grand total now of just under 39 feet away from the water. So that's what we've done. We've also added, I know you people want to go back as far as practical, and to us, that's as far as we can go without opening up a huge can of worms with everyone involved. We've also had some mulch areas, some rain barrels to infiltrate down with the water off the roofs of the house. And this is a little dog house here for the building to get into. All our numbers work. They're right in the site information box right here, which we took the 30% that were granted since it hasn't changed since 1989, the footprint. And we've utilized that for the area inside 100 feet. And we flushed all the numbers out so that we've actually got a decrease, if you will, of impervious area. We were at 25.8% when we started. We're now at 23.8. So we went down 2% on the amount of impervious area. There was a lot of pavement that comes around here. You can see the dash lines of it right here. That comes into the lot. All that's being removed, of course. Utilities, we have sewer obviously right through here. And we have a letter from Dan Wells of the Winthrop Utility District allowing us to connect. We also have a well that we're going to put in right here, which is far enough away from anyone. So we have the country club landing. Those of you who went to the site walk remember seeing all those boats out there, if you will. And a lot of you didn't know they were there. Neither did I. That being said, I'll entertain any questions that you might have of this plan or concerns.
Jimmy?
Do we have that version in a smaller? Yeah, oh, yeah.
It was the other piece, it was like all the paperwork package, and you didn't get that.
I didn't.
It was right on the end of your package. I put the plans right in the back edge of it.
Yeah, I didn't get it. I don't get it.
I handed them out at the last meeting so that they,
Oh, wait, hold on.
Yeah, and they're in the,
Is this it?
yes, well, it's, this
It
is,
should be in the back.
take this off first,
This is,
and then it's, you don't want that, you want that.
it's this. Oh, okay. Thanks, Dawn.
so I have only.
Jim, did you want to say anything? I'm sorry. About the project?
Nothing that I can think of, would it help if I went with public water rather than the well? Does that make a difference if I wanna go with the public water?
I don't think that makes a difference whatsoever. I mean, that line isn't all that great. It's a 1-inch plastic tubing line. I think you'll have all kinds of problems with that.
Okay, should stay with
I would definitely stay with it.
Jamie?
So that's what I can't, this
I'm sorry.
small writing, no, it's
Sure.
my eyes. What's the side setback?
From that garage?
Yeah.
Okay, so right now that bunkhouse at 1.3 feet away, and we're moving it over to 1.6 feet away. So we're still within that setback there, but we've made it less non-conforming than it already is.
Okay.
Just want to refresh the
Oh,
board's
I see.
memory. You reviewed this application in August and you did a site visit and deemed it complete. So that's just where it is today. Sorry, Vinny.
We would have been here last month, but I wasn't around. I had something going on actually out of the country, so I couldn't be here. We wish we would have gone then, but sorry for the delay on that.
I'm sorry, John. We're keeping you this year.
I just wanted to remind you that you did deem the application complete. You asked for some of the information to change, but it was, a motion was entertained that it was complete. Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Jamie,
That's it for now.
Greg,
Yeah, so, I mean, I'll just kind of give our general statement, we just had this with a recent site walk and a recent applicant. You know, our job is to try to make this as minimally non-conforming as possible.
Understood.
So, you know, my first concern is the side setback on the garage. Why can't we move that? We're taking down that, the
Bunkhouse.
bunkhouse.
Yes.
Why can't we make it 10 feet? You know, move the garage over, go to the conforming rule, which is 10 feet.
I can definitely do that if that's what you're,
Yeah, so I've got a number of kind of concerns. So the first one is, how far can we get it back away from the water? Can we make it conforming? I don't think it's realistic to be conforming. The 100-foot line is quite a ways
yeah,
back.
you know what I gotta tell you, my problem with that 10-foot setback, and now it's all just ringing a bell. As I move the garage in this direction, I'm getting killed with impervious area inside, because a 100-foot mark goes up at a diagonal. So I have more area of the building inside 100, so I can't get it to work. In other words, I'd have to trim the garage down to maybe a 1.5 bay garage, because there'd be too much area inside this 100-foot mark right here. The more you push it this way, the more area that's inside the 100-foot mark, and the less conforming it's gonna be to your ordinance.
Right, but if you rotated it, you could slide it right up. As far as I understand, there is no setback requirement from the easement, which is a 10-foot.
100%.
So
Right
there's
up
no
to it.
setback, so you could put the front of the garage on the edge of the easement. And if you rotated the garage 45 degrees, you could slide it up to the line, and a lot of that would move out of the 100-foot setback.
I had the garage all the way up over here, and I still couldn't get the impervious numbers to work on it. I tried everything I can, and this is the only spot it works like this. It all just rang a bell with me, 'cause I know it's been 2 months
Let me ask,
since I talked about this.
so
Go
to
ahead.
Greg's point, if you're moving it over, you're now gonna have impervious on the right side, aren't you?
Well, the 100-foot mark's right here, okay? You got that. The easement. Back to down, it's easy to see the easement. So here's that easement. As you ride it up on this, you get more and more area as you go this direction, under the 100, because of this, the way you're pulling it forward. I'm telling you, it just won't work if we go any further that way.
Well, I was stating if you rotated the garage 45 degrees to be parallel to the front of the garage being parallel, you'd gain a lot of space, because instead of being a triangle, you're gonna end up with a
Are
rectangle.
you saying like that?
Yes, the front of the garage parallel with the easement line. So the whole front of the garage is lined up with that, rather than leaving the orientation that it is, rotating it. And then hopefully, and then my other comment was the house, it's very flat land, the building itself, it's very flat land.
Well,
We can make it, we've asked another client, over on Welch's Point to make it an attached garage. I understand this fire code, you've got to deal with building a fire stop in between the building, but again, we're maximizing we're trying to balance the two, right? With saying, okay, we want to allow you to expand the 30%. But our first goal is, can we make this a conforming structure? That's the question. Can we make it conforming? So for me, the garage easily rotated, slid down, we could make that conforming off that 10-foot set, 10-foot.
that may work.
So,
That may work
and then if we move the building as far back to that garage as possible,
within 10 feet.
as close as we can. I mean, and then the question would be, is that gonna cause undue harm to request you to have that it being attached garage rather than a detached garage? So I understand you gotta build a firewall between it, but having an attached garage would get it again further away from the water.
We actually had a plan originally with it attached, and we ended up scrapping that, Jim. We've gone from this to the attached and back to this.
We've gone back and forth a number of times with this. We have a plan for an attached garage. I'm fine with an attached garage. I don't remember exactly why it didn't work, but we came back to this.
And I appreciate you respecting the view of the neighbor,
That's his cousin.
that makes it even worse. I get it.
Yeah,
She's a nightmare.
that's a real biggie.
I get it, so I appreciate that, but I still think, sliding that building back, putting the garage, again, making every effort you can. You can't go over the right of way, completely understandable. But making every possible effort you can to make it as conforming as possible. So we move it off the 10-foot and we push it as far back from the water as we can, and making it attached makes it as close as, and turning that garage, getting it as back far as we can, should be able to get us to where we can as a board, me as a board member could say that we did the best we could to make that as non-conform, and make that as minimally non-conforming as possible.
So my question would be, would that affect review all that?
Well, I mean, you're gonna pivot around this, well, actually, you gotta get to the 10-foot mark and then pivot, so it's gonna be all the way over from here to here, if you will. Does that make sense? This corner will be all the way over there. I don't think it's gonna add more than 10 feet away. I mean, that's up to you, if you can live with that, I mean, I can take a run at it.
And I hate to throw that out. I mean, we have other board members that could write in. I'm just saying, in my opinion, that's what we're tasked with doing, is making it as minimally non-conforming as possible.
I totally get where you're coming from.
So, that's it.
No, I think you answered my question. I was wondering why that house could move up and be attached.
We don't have a lot of space to work with there. You guys probably noticed that when you were there that day, the space, I wish that there was more space. If my cousin wouldn't be out back, it would be easier for us to have more room, but she's there. And like Jim just said, protecting her view is a biggie. I would need mud in a hurry, and I don't want that. You guys would hear from her, I'm sure.
Well, and given the right of way, I don't think there's a way you could build that entirely behind the 100-foot.
You're
It would be a very strange looking structure.
Yeah.
The 100 goes all the way up to that area.
Right, because of that little inlet that where the boat landing is, you're kind of limited.
Yeah, that does kind of crush us right here. If that wasn't there, if that was right across, we'd be all
You
set.
could rotate it
We'd
like that.
probably almost get the house out of there too.
So,
Yeah, I'm all set.
that protrusion on the back corner of the house, is that
This right here,
a bulkhead or is that an access?
it's an access to downstairs.
It's a bulkhead, okay. It's a doghouse.
So Rick, I just want to understand, I think I understand. So if you look at the garage, and you made it 10-foot parallel to the property line, which would make it compliant.
It won't be parallel to the property line, no, it's gonna be turned more than parallel. Just this corner will be off 10 feet.
Let me finish my question.
I'm sorry.
I guess another look at it, and you tell me if I'm where I'm wrong, but if you made the garage parallel to the property line, shifting it, not the whole 45 degrees, but shifting it whatever angle that is.
Yeah.
And being compliant on that 10-foot setback, and then moving the house back, connecting the garage, would that accomplish what you're suggesting?
Yes, I mean, I look at it in simple child geometry. Cut the squares out, move them around on the lot as far away from the water as we can.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what I'm trying to say, is that then we could say we did everything we could to move the buildings away from the water.
So the view issue that you're talking about,
So,
if indeed you rotated that and didn't go to the extreme of being parallel,
right,
that would accomplish that.
right. And because of that little inlet, you don't gain much by going towards the left.
Correct.
On that map. So that's why it's, and that easement is gonna be your limiting factor, because you can't build anything on the easement.
You cannot just simply turn this and make it the same configuration as the house because you end up with too much area inside.
That's what I'm asking, Greg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you agree with that?
Yeah.
And so the extreme would be turning it around and have it line up with the line that's the, what we're talking about is a compromise that lines up with the angle of the house. You maintain your 10-foot, you move the house back and manage to get, another 12 feet in the front? Setback?
It just won't make the impervious area.
We understand. Well, I'm told the numbers are.
Well, I was gonna say, I mean, we've still got the impervious limit, so you can't go above what you've got.
Correct.
So,
No, I'm talking about this building area inside 100. It would crucify me there. I know it won't.
And we can't make an exception on that.
we can't go bigger than that number, we're stuck with that.
I don't have any additional.
Given we've already voted to accept the application as complete, hearing is, we need a motion to reject current design, having back with recommendations we've made, give us a better view at it, deal with the setbacks and maximize the setback from the water. So I'll entertain a motion to reject that plan.
Do you want to reject that plan, or do you want to table it if the applicant is willing to make the changes? If they want to-
I think we'd rather go the table option myself, door number 2,
So repeat back to us what you think that is.
tabling.
I understand that.
Oh, by spinning this, holding this corner to the 10-foot mark right there and spinning that somehow so the areas work out, and then combining the house and the garage together to make one unit.
Jim, how far back from the water?
38 feet right now.
How far back would it be?
With another 12 on the drawing.
You have at least another 12 here. So it'd probably go back to like 40-ish, or, I mean 50-ish, because you're at 38, you'd be about 50.
38.
You'd be around 50 feet off the water.
By doing that, we'd be gaining 12 feet.
Correct.
At least 12 feet more, yes.
Right?
Yep.
Would that be acceptable to you guys?
Well, you gotta draw it up, bring it back.
Let's say the numbers work.
Yeah.
And it's just like we talked about tonight. Are you gonna be acceptable to
I
that?
cannot say acceptable.
Okay.
we're willing to review it again with those revisions.
Can we say in theory?
Now, that said, last time we met on this project, talked about the fact that we couldn't tell you where to put it
I understand.
and maximize the distance from the lake and the setback. So
And that would mean
you're good.
that would mean that the garage would now be attached to the house.
Correct.
You guys are okay with that, right? You're okay with that?
As long as the numbers work out, they're gonna be
As long as
fine.
the numbers work out.
Just asking. I'm certainly okay with that.
See, we have to be careful what words we use, that's all.
Yeah, and I understand. No, we're not here to give you a hard time, we're just here to try to work something out. That's all.
We both understand what we're suggesting you look at.
I do understand what you want.
And I'll entertain a motion to table.
I can make a motion that, the applicant for 12 Hayward Way, map 55, lot 11, be tabled. The applicant, is going to, reassess their design plan and come back with a revised plan, at the next time that we can get information from them and put it on our schedule.
For a second.
I'll
Second.
Dawn seconded. Discussion?
If it's okay if I say something? Sure. Okay. It occurs to me that combining the house and the garage will eliminate that pathway between the two, and that's an impervious area gain. So whether it's gravel or a structure,
Win-win.
yeah, wait.
All in favor? Okay, I would encourage you to work with Dawn, I'm sure you will.
Oh, yeah.
She understands clearly what we've described.
Yeah.
And she is a good resource to look at it and say, yeah, you're getting close.
Well, I'd like to be at the finish line at the next meeting, I hope.
So you'll be back on the 14th.
Is that January 14th? I could make that, yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Since we tabled it, Dawn, do they need to present,
Okay.
do we need to public notice their new version
It
for 2
will,
weeks?
I have down that we're gonna continue it to the 14th, and then if, I'll work with them to get the materials in time.
Okay,
So a new application, the deadline would be a week from tonight, but if it's a table,
that's why, that's why I thought, that's all. I wanted to make sure. Yeah,
we'll try for that.
yeah, I just wanted to make sure.
Thank you. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you guys as well. You too. Okay, other business.
I do have some items of other business.
I request a 3-minute recess.
Yes.
No,
Good. Anybody allergic to peanuts? Make it all time. Peanuts.
I didn't tell you this one, so.
No, it's one kind. Yeah. These have a lot of peanuts and graham crackers in it.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. What's the biggest one?
You can take 2, it's okay.
I got it.
Your diet.
Oh, yeah, I know.
There's a lot of
Oh,
sugar
yeah.
in those, sorry.
You're going for sugar.
There's a lot of sugar in those, sorry.
It just
Oh,
smells
yeah.
even wonderful.
Oh, my goodness, what's that? Dawn.
Sorry, Uncle Lang.
Well, I've already had 3, so I'm. You know, the failure's out when you're cutting the pan.
I won't tell you
That's
to.
a Reese's.
Oh, no.
It's designed to be like a Reese's, but they're gluten-free graham crackers in there. I mean, graham crackers are almost gluten-free anyway, so I just.
So I had a handout at the prior meeting, which just gave the status of the different ordinance amendments. So on this list, 5, 6, and 7, you were setting aside the first 3 to move them all to the council together. So you approved at the last meeting, number 5, and number 6 and 7 are not ready to go yet because they haven't been noticed in the newspaper. There wasn't anything contentious about them, but it has to be noticed in the newspaper, more discussion. So my suggestion for this evening would be a motion to forward numbers 1 through 5 to the town council with the language that you've already reviewed, for approval. And then we'll have a another set being worked up, which should start to include some of the changes that the state is requiring.
I'll entertain a motion to do that 1 through 5.
I will make a motion that we, move articles, or I'll say items 1 through 5 of ordinance amendments, which is Article I-8C, Article V-15D, Article 3-11, Table 2, Article 3-11, Table 3, and Article 3-11, Table 1, to the town council.
For a second,
Second that.
Jamie seconded. Discussion? All in favor?
I'd like to make a note too, I met and had discussions with Jim King. He's not able to attend this evening, but he had previously worked on amending this ordinance, talking about accessibility. And the feedback I got that it was difficult to really use. So he has been working on it again, and he has a document that he brought to show me today that seems very user-friendly. So I'd like to, when we come back to look at any additional amendments, try presenting them to you in that format, see if it's something that you'd be amenable to using. So far, from what I've seen, there doesn't seem to be a downside, and it will be more accessible for folks. And then eventually they'll all be online in eCode. So he's already done a lot of work. And it looks good from what I've seen.
So I understand future work, going to try to use that process to go forward.
Yeah, so then, yes, so to use that document, so when I do some amended language, I'd like to use that base and see what you think. It's gonna be user-friendly. I can send you the whole document currently, actually, so you can see.
He's done the whole ordinance.
I learned a lot. But well, still,
So this is to make it where his reader can, read it.
yeah, and we've talked about this a number of times and how the consultant that we have that's gonna put the ordinance online will work with that. And he's aware of that, and he, you know, I sent him information on that, but in the short term, he did all this work, and I'm learning stuff so that I can start, you know, making agendas and different things that are more easily accessible.
Yeah, and if you haven't used any of the AI functions, I would suggest that.
Starting to.
They could, yeah, I used autopilot, I use it all the time now, and you could take and dump a document in there and say, please make this 508 compliant, and it does.
Wow, that's smart.
It's very, very user friendly. Some AI, I mean, it'll have to be a subscription based AI bot. The free online one is somewhat limited on the web. It can do some things, but some
What do
things
you
it's gonna struggle with. We've used both ChatGPT and Autopilot, which is a Microsoft product now. Now we're leaning on Microsoft because we have the whole Microsoft suite. So it works exceptionally well with Word.
Mhm.
So I would definitely recommend if you've got everything in Word and you want it 508 compliant, Word already has most of the functionality. It just embeds the alt text. It does everything.
That's with Copilot.
Yeah, Autopilot. Yeah,
Autopilot.
Autopilot. Yeah.
And we do ChatGPT, the town has some license, I know that I got access, to I can use it more than what's available for free, I'm not sure to the extent, but I've been poking around trying to learn, I haven't taken a formal class or anything.
Right. And the nice thing is anytime you get confused, just ask it.
Yeah, yeah,
And it really tells you. Sometimes more than you wanted to know. So just a recommendation is that I think that's going to change the way that we view and some of these documents. So if they're building some of those AI readers into documents so that 508 compliance is possibly going to be built in. So if you view something on the web, no matter what you post, the AI reader can actually read it for them. So it's very interesting. It's changing fast, is all I'm saying.
yeah.
Back to 1 through 5, Andy, we're looking to move that forward early in the year, next year. Do you have any issues with any of those 5?
Yes.
Number one, no problem. don't get number two, I thought that was always a public hearing. Everything you do is public.
Well, there's a difference between a public meeting and a public hearing. It's a little bit of semantics, but
Yeah.
it's important.
Okay, take your word for it. Well, the next one, eliminating the reference to mobile homes, I'm all for that. Current ordinance kind of tends to denigrate people that, existing mobile homes.
That's state law.
Yes.
Okay, and, amend, to indicate the shoreline setback in the resource protection zone district is 250 feet. Full disclosure, I happen to own probably close to 1,000 feet, on that particular, in that district. And it seems to me that that's a tremendous taking of property.
Oh, that's the one Colin advised us to fix, right?
So I think the next one down, I think.
That's the one you're talking
Is the
about.
one that you're, this one I.
Number 6 is the one you're talking about.
Yeah,
Okay,
5 is the one that Colin, when we
so
submitted it from
this
your
is
last,
resource protection.
yes.
I'm
This is-
sorry.
Yep,
when we submitted it after your approval last time, after the council approved it, we had it 2 different places. She's gonna show you that. There's 2 places. It's not consistent, so we want to fix it. The table is one way and the verbiage is another. So this 5,
So this doesn't
4
include,
is fixing that.
okay, this doesn't include changing the shoreline setback in the, drinking water.
Correct. That's one we're still discussing.
Yeah, that's a big
But
change.
hold that. So let's focus on the 5. Do you have any issues with any of the 5?
No, I'm good.
Okay, thank you.
I like your work.
Dawn? 6, we better do anything tonight on 6?
no, I started to
You
do
had some
some,
research to do,
I
right?
was doing some research and I wasn't able to put anything meaningful together.
And the other thing, Brent brought that up, so we can have here. Discussion.
Yeah.
Well, I think what we were specifically looking for was how many properties would be impacted where there's something that isn't built, and if the property's only, let's say, 250 feet deep, then you would make that property unbuildable. So we realized there could be some hardship for people having to build 250 feet back, but if it's 1,000-foot deep lot, the resource is potentially more important than that property, and that will go a long way to protect
That's
the
the
resource.
research she wants to do.
That's what we needed Dawn to help with,
Yeah.
to say how many are we gonna be actually eliminating properties from being able to be built on? That was the concern, is that would happen.
So I can pull up, the list of, I have pulled up a list of parcels, I think there's only 400 and something in the district, and then you can look at sizes if it's mapped. But I also pulled up permits that have been issued in the district too, to look at, just to see, what's been developed. And I guess one of the questions I have is, what other additional information would be helpful for you to be looking at when you further this conversation?
So I have another thought, another question is, how much of a difference will an additional 250 make if, say, somebody puts in for building 250 feet away, which it is by the state now, and they do everything correct, you check the erosion control, the impervious area, is it gonna make that huge of a difference if we make it an additional 250?
Well, it's not an additional 250, it's that we're not allowing them to build at 100, we're making them build at 250.
Oh, I
it's
thought, okay,
No,
sorry,
it's moving it right
Yes.
now, they're
I don't know
in-
why in my head I was
Yeah,
going
they're-
250 to 500, I was
They're in
thinking of
the
something
shoreline
else.
zone to 250 period, that's state law.
Yeah.
Right, so what we're saying is that we're not gonna allow them to build a structure at 100, which is allowed as long as, and we've been pretty lax here at Winthrop, looking back historically, especially before Brent and I and others joined the board, where it was like 100 feet was all that mattered, and that's not necessarily the case. Very
Yeah.
steep slopes, very, exposed bedrock, things like that, where you're gonna get very high runoff coefficients. You really shouldn't be just looking at that 100 foot, you should be looking at what vegetated buffer is going to buffer that. The 250 feet gives you that additional protection.
Mhm.
So that's really the question, is to say that we're not gonna allow that. If they already have a structure, they're still under state
Yeah, yeah.
shoreline zoning, everything stays the same.
So
So-
will that 150 feet make that big of a difference, do you
It
think?
potentially could, especially to a drinking water district. And what we're talking about is, if that threshold gets just, let's say we're right below a state threshold and we cross over that line, and that secondary drinking water treatment is gonna cost us $25 million.
Mhm.
Think about what that's gonna do to every user in the town of Winthrop. Will have to come up with that $1,000 of treatment over the next 10 years to pay back. So,
Gotcha.
and so everything you can do to help is good, but that's also where we're trying to balance the two.
Right.
The balance of the environmental protection versus the balance of, are we gonna actually put properties where you really cannot build it?
Yeah.
If the lots are all deep enough, I would say 100% that is the right thing to do. If the lots are not deep enough and you have a whole bunch of lots at 250 feet,
That
that
you
would
make
be
completely
taking,
unbuildable,
because
yeah.
you would potentially make those lots entirely unbuildable. And that would be very frustrating for landowners.
Is this how it is in, resource protection already? Is it 250 feet or no in our town? It's resource protection?
Yeah, it's 200,
It is
it is
250 already.
250. And there are towns in Maine that do 500.
Okay, maybe
And
that's where I was
250,
going
I mean, Maine shoreline zoning is set at 250.
Mhm.
And we've been fairly liberal here in Winthrop, but there's other liberal towns about that. We have a ton of great lake, really big
Yeah.
lakes. Every single property that's building, all of these camps are now turned into homes. Look at the water quality. I can show you the Secudis numbers on Cobussy, on Winthrop, on all of them. It's all because of phosphorus. It's all because of the nutrient load from those houses. So it's directly correlated. But we don't want to get to the point of making somebody's property unbuildable. That seems,
Is there anything else we could do that could help with the environmental protection? Like stricter building code or
We're doing
erosion
some of those
control
things. We're doing some of
instead
those things.
doing the setback?
we're
program?
doing some of those things.
Mhm.
But I mean, the biggest challenge we have is, we just did it. We just did it tonight.
Yeah.
Which
yeah,
was, can we move that
Yes.
property back further? Can we make it further away from the lake? Can we add a vegetated buffer near the shore? Can we do these things to help buffer that phosphorus runoff from getting into the lake? So that's what we're trying to do.
So,
I see it as being a protection for future boards that maybe would be more lax. It's like, well, if it is 250, if they're not looking at the erosion control as carefully as say you would, because you have more expertise with it, then
But
I
it
get
would,
the
it would
protection
make a
of it
difference. If you had a 250 foot versus 100 foot, it would make a difference.
it would. That's,
It
yeah,
would.
that's what
It would make
that's
a
what I'm really
difference.
questioning.
Every time it would make a difference.
Yeah.
Are you talking twice as good, 3 times as good? I can show you cases where it would be 3 times as good. I can show you cases where it improves by 2 or 3%.
And it depends on the land that you're building on
So
too.
many factors, so it's not a black and white flipping a switch.
so let's hold our discussion for a future meeting on that specific item, which Don's gonna do research on, tell us how big a deal it is, magnitude, and all this discussion about what degree we want to manage that area. Agreeable?
I just a couple quick questions. This would only be restrictions on building, so instead of 100 feet, it's 250. Nothing else at that point.
For putting a structure there, yes.
Right, so 200, right.
Right.
Okay, and.
But Maine shoreline zone still applies to the rest as far as like cut down and all of that
Right,
still is
but that's
applicable.
only the first 250, that's not the second 250.
Right, but this is we're only talking about moving basically the limit for structures.
For structures only, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, one thing to think about is what if any effect will that have on people that own existing homes that want to add on?
And again, we can't stop that because of state law, they're allowed 30% expansion.
I'm just,
But we can, again, if they have to do, like in the case of Mr. Peppin, his home value is $45,000 based on the tax assessment. And what we got from Mark, if you're doing more than half of that in improvements, that's a substantial improvement.
right,
So you're not allowed to do that. So if he's doing that level of improvement, we have to say, you have to make that a conforming structure or as conforming as possible.
right.
Without it being what do they call it, a negative impact. There's a legal term for it, for the impacts to the client, making that land unbuildable. is not acceptable. That's like a de minimis taking, you can't do that.
Yeah,
It's
I
something,
think the term usually used is taking.
yeah, you're not allowed to do that. That's a state law kind of thing. So,
Oh, wait, let me clarify, because I don't I'm trying to understand. If somebody right now has a house that's 100 feet away between, say, 150 and 250, and they want to expand it, they wouldn't be able to. if
No, they
change- They can, but
they
not
can
more than
expand
30%.
right? They're still bound by all of the state, that's
So if
state
they have
laws
a-
anyways.
Outside, right now, if it was outside of 100,
Outside of 100, we
They
could
could-
potentially allow that.
yeah.
There's
Like if they wanted to
flexibility,
build a garage that was bigger than their house, they'd
Yeah.
be able to right now. But if we change it to 250,
but they're still
they would
capped.
be capped at,
It doesn't matter though, they're still capped at the impervious cover or the non-vegetated. It's limited to 20% period.
well, okay, yeah.
So that's for the whole 250.
If you force, or you create a situation, force isn't a good word, where a person has to subdivide a bigger lot, okay, then that 10% impervious area, or whatever the current figure is at the time, gets increased. So if you've got the bigger lot, you're gonna have people to build bigger homes.
Yep.
So, you do have to keep that in mind, how much further ahead are you getting? So if you're, you could put 10% on a 500 by 500 lot, and my head not working on the math right now, but, or you could put 10% on a 200 by 250 lot. I'm not sure it's gonna change, the impervious area restrictions that much.
Well, it will because they can't subdivide and change their percentage. So if they're at, let's say 19% now and they want to split their lot in half, they can't. Unless they're giving 1% to the other lot. And that's all, because 20% is the max.
Right.
So that's where they're kind of capped. If they're at 10% now, yeah, they could subdivide that lot off. If that's allowable by the town code, it's got the proper size and requirements, you could subdivide that lot off and somebody could build to 20% on that lot.
Right, I guess my question is, you got 250 feet by 200. Think that comes about 2 acres? That would make it legal?
That's about 1 acre. Little
Alright, so-
over one.
All right, if you have 250 feet by 400, and then you said you can't build less than 250 feet from the water, then a person is gonna increase the lot enough to be able to put up a home. As they increase that lot, they get to use 20% of the piece of land that they increased.
Sure.
Okay?
Yeah.
So you're really not changing the amount of impervious area.
Potentially.
Right.
But if let's say you made that 2 acre lot a 4 acre lot, and their impervious cover was at 25% at a 2 acre lot, but now it's gonna be at 12.5% on a 4 acre lot, because the same area, now they've doubled the lot size, so it's gonna cut the percentage in half. Now they're at 12.5%, and they own all 4 acres. So, and now they may not meet the criteria to ever subdivide again. That's exactly what we wanted. Now you're not getting every lot at 20% or more, you're getting a lot at 12.5. So that's.
Why would you be, if you double the size of your lot, then you would double the size of your allowable impervious area.
Right, but I'm saying if you are, let's say you had plans and you wanted to build a 2,000 square foot house with a driveway, whatever. You added bigger lot, you didn't change the plans of your house, you could, yes, you could increase, yes, you could. But every single house, every single lot, two acre lots sitting next to each other, each have 20%. If somebody's not using that, that's great. If somebody turns that 2 acre lot into a 10 acre lot and they decide they want to own all that land, they probably won't use their 20%, which is ideal, which is what we're looking for.
Okay, good, so,
I
I
just
know you
want-
wanna move on, let's go.
So there's someone online, Joe Smith, and he asked a question, how many people will no longer be able to build a garage or outbuilding? I can't answer that, that's one of the things I wanted to bring back to you, is more of that information for
Right,
discussion.
that's what we're looking for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't know at this time. So Joe, if you have a further question, please go ahead and ask it, otherwise we will be gathering that information for future discussion.
I also wanna say, I'm not against this per se, I just wanna know the information, so
I think
that's
it's,
why.
I think it's good to know.
That's a
Okay.
discussion we need to
Yeah.
have.
Alright,
If we're chopping off a whole lot of lots, none of us wanna,
right, yeah,
do that, even if there's a house or no house, if you're taking, that it would be potentially a
Just to
taking.
make sure it actually.
We wanna, yeah,
And you're not really increasing the size of the shoreland zone per se, you're just increasing the setback,
The buffer.
mandatory
Right.
setback.
the
Right.
buffer, the vegetated buffer
Right.
is now gonna be bigger.
Right.
Yeah.
But the shoreline zone remain 250
It does.
feet.
Yeah.
That's a
It's
state
just that
requirement.
you're basically saying you can't.
Well, I guess, the big picture, what we're trying to do is to protect the water supply.
Yes,
And if you, I think I've said it before, but if you waded into Androscoggin Lake, which is extreme, I understand, this fall, saw the algae, that was your water supply. There's some major action gonna have to happen, filtration, treatment, after the flushes out of the bath. So what we're trying to do is manage that before it gets to that point. And you were talking about that phosphorus contribution, right by the algae comes.
right.
So
And there's a reason that Boston gets their water from Quabbin Reservoir that is almost 200 miles away, and they own almost the entire watershed. Because
That's New
nobody
York
could build.
City too.
No,
They have-
that's, well,
They have big reservoirs,
exactly,
same thing.
exactly,
That you
because,
can't drive gas boats on, which is a great idea.
But
yes,
that's
Nobody in
why
this
the-
town would like that.
No,
Okay,
no,
sorry, I won't bring
the
that up again.
the state won't let us do that.
Greg, that's why a bunch of them are in Maine, New Hampshire.
Yeah.
For their water.
Yep.
Water access.
I mean, 35% of the drinking water in Massachusetts, state drinking water has PFAS above the EPA acceptable limit. They can't, I mean, there's actually several towns that supply bottled water to their residents to drink.
I think you should point out, 1982, 83, when I first moved to Maine, then I think it was 1986, when I bought the hotel, those two properties right there, okay? You could go out on the ice and look down and you could see green. Okay, that lake was green. You put the Setchi desk down a foot and it was gone, you know, and we've made huge improvements. You know, we've had a couple of large publicity events over there, you know, when I was there,
Yep.
about the improvements to the lake and everything. So, and actually our business was the first one in the state at the encouragement of Bill Monagle before all the rules are passed to start monitoring boat ramps for vegetation and stuff. You know, I'm not against protecting the environment. I just worry sometimes about how difficult it becomes for the town's residents or prospective residents, you know, to move here.
Has to be a good balance somehow.
That's why we wanted,
The backside of, those information to adequately, give you discussion points. Or is there only one side on yours?
mine's one-sided.
Oh,
What
shoot.
am I looking
I was like, oh,
It says planning board materials.
The tables on the back of that page, back of this, I understand.
Okay.
It's like, you said, what's it look like?
I know, that's what
It
I'm
was
looking
with the
for.
agenda that was here when you arrived tonight.
oh,
Oh, I didn't look at that. On the back of the agenda.
oh,
The agenda was on the table, it had it with.
oh, there was another copy of it. I was looking at
I
it.
had that.
Yeah, it's this one
Okay.
thing. So what I wanted to
If there's a
update
real,
these.
if there's a real planning board member that doesn't have one,
Oh,
versus
we got
a
it.
fake one like me, I'll give you mine.
I got it.
You got it?
All good, thank you.
Move right along.
What this is my chicken scratch on a table of things that we've been working on for a long time, and we wanted to finalize them, which was checklists and, sample, site plans, et cetera, et cetera. So I was not able to update this and give you those final documents, but I wanted to flag it for the beginning of the year and at least mark this one up, because on here, we have the bylaws that we talked about the last meeting, in addition to, the town council ordinance number 8. The zoning map is on here, but we are also in the process of doing some changes, further changes to that. But so down at the bottom, I wanted,
What are those changes?
there was a couple of parcels that the resource protection didn't get
What we
transferred.
discussed.
Yes, yeah, so we're still working on that, so, but the current map is approved. And then we had identified separately some things that we'll move forward with, and we worked on the coloring to make it more distinct.
How's Cole approved it?
No, he was with us, and then we met again, and we're gonna meet again before we go back to him. So I'll refresh your memory on that with some notes, it's been a while. But the bottom line is that just that there's all these documents that you've put a lot of work into, and I'd like to come back with the actual documents, in addition to your work plan for the next year. We talked about this at the last meeting, and I don't have it for you. I have, the work plan that you had already adopted, if you'd like another copy of this. But what I'd like to do is have you discuss the work plan for the next year, so the status of these, plus, the
That's
state
the
parks
next
and the
agenda.
state. That's, would be my
Okay.
wish, I guess.
So review priorities, reset.
And then.
So we got a couple right
adopt
here,
the
right?
final format of these
These are
documents.
priorities right here.
Mhm.
That are in front of us.
I'll update this and then we can discuss the whole thing.
Good.
We have copies of that second one.
This one,
We're supposed to have that.
you may have it, you're welcome to have another one. And
Oh, if I've got it all.
Is
Yeah,
that
we
a
got
one
it.
pager?
Yeah.
Can I have one? Or
Yeah,
if you run out, I'll surrender.
absolutely.
Can we
So I
add-
just didn't want you to think, what the heck happened to these? We never talked about them again. It's because they keep getting set aside, but they do need to be adopted.
And one more thing we had on as a possible action item was having Mark come in and explain a few things to us. You know, that the case when we did the site visit, the applicant was, you know, they have a 1960s septic system, and specifically is that what's gonna happen when if that walked into Mark's office, what is he gonna do? Is he gonna say, yeah, that's not gonna be viable, you can't use that, or
Yeah,
how does that work? And just some of the other questions that we had for him, just sort of so we understand what falls to him, what falls to us, that kind of thing. And how do we track if we say, oh, only cut these trees and that goes into a condition of a permit? Is that okay for him? Does that work for him? So just, if
yeah,
we could just put it on the agenda, we could come up with questions here and even submit it to him ahead of time. I don't care. I just thought it would be something we could do to get the answer for all of us to hear the answers together.
okay, and he has offered in the past, and it has come up at your meeting several times, so I just need to get on the schedule
And
and
I
ask.
don't wanna put it on like first thing in January. I'm just saying, put it on the list of 4 action items for 26, please,
Okay,
is all. I just wanted to make sure that I just didn't fall off.
I've got that right on here, I'll make sure it's on there. And then also I just wanna note that there is an online shoreline training, it's an hour and a half. I provided a link, so I didn't know if you all wanted to watch that together and come up with questions, because we've talked about having Colin come in and he just hasn't had availability. So that might be something you wanna do prior to meeting with Mark, or when he's there, I just wanna point out again that that is available,
So
which is Colin's
we have-
presentation.
So it's available, we can set a time if we wanna do it.
You can do that and watch it together and come up with questions, or you can watch it individually, whatever you think is most helpful, or that you have time, desire. for.
Presents it.
It's Colin, actually,
Oh, it's just a recorded version, yeah.
correct, yeah.
So we wanna set that up in January or? We'll put that on the agenda next meeting and decide when we're gonna do that. Now, difficulty is trying to do it during the day.
It'd be a lot easier for me to watch that on my own during the day.
Questions?
I can write down questions.
That might be the way to do it, is to just take our own questions and then maybe we could talk, come up with what questions we wanna.
How you do the video?
I'm just saying, view it on our own. I've already taken the training, so I don't know if I would maybe skim it, see if there's anything new, but.
I did too, but I could use a refresh on that.
It's, so I can resend the link, and it might be YouTube, it's online, and these handouts that you've received previously,
Yeah.
those were what Colin uses for
We
the
got those, right?
presentation.
Those are the
Yeah,
slides, yeah.
yeah, they're great,
Yeah.
and,
So you're
so,
gonna send the link to us?
Yep.
So the homework assignment we have is to look at the video, or,
if that's the way you wanna go, absolutely,
I think
I'll
that's.
send a reminder and.
Okay.
Okay,
So, I
might have to put it in black print, bold print, so we remember what you were talking about.
okay,
Like Colin's video on Andy.
okay, I have 2 very quick things. One is during all of my time on the ZBA, one of the things we were careful of was not to make conditions or pass rulings that were difficult for codes to enforce. You know, it's a code enforcement officer gonna have to go here every year, you know. So that's something always to have a caution about. And then the other thing is, town council chair elections are coming up in November. Okay, all these positions, representative to the planning board, zoning board, all the other various town committees are generally appointed by the chair. If we have a new chair, or even if the old chair gets reelected, there's no 100% guarantee that I will be here. I would like to be here, and I would like to think you all would like me to be here.
They're all trained, so
Yeah, you know, you're all trained.
always want to sign up for something.
Well, I don't, I'm happy being here. I actually know most of you from before this, you know, and I have a long history in zoning and a lot of experience. I'm a good person to bounce ideas off.
Would it be safe for the board to say we want Andy to come back as our liaison?
I'll vote for Andy.
Sure.
Is there a conflict somewhere there?
No.
I'll vote for him later. Tell me one on the way. Right,
We'll give John that job, drop that on.
the 1 through 5, we're trying to get on their agenda January,
Yes.
February.
Yep, I'll put a memo together and I'll give it to Anthony and ask him when that
Great.
would get on their official agenda.
Just to move along.
So then, also in front of you tonight was a project review guidance document for the Cobblestone Watershed District. So I put something together, I ran it by Monagle, and I just nabbed pieces of old documents and memos and stuff that I had, and linked it to their review policy that they have, I think, on the website. I don't recall, but I have the email attached in case there was any questions or concerns, and he said, what you prepared was perfect, I had nothing to add to it unless you were looking for any specific changes. So what I had said to him was, this is something the planning board would give to applicants via website or posting on the website or making part of an application, whatever you think is the most practical. I would like you to change it to meet your standards, and then I will ask the planning board to approve it as their official policy. So this is something for you to look at, not digest right now because there's a link to their policy.
It may be here, but I would add number 4 that we share, as part of this policy, we share our agenda with them. In the past, it kind of went by the wayside. You know, you and I work together to bring that back, so we're communicating. This is specifically talking about an application and their involvement. I want to make sure in general they're involved in the process.
Yes.
In other words, by agenda, communication,
And when you review this, if you could keep in mind, in addition to that, making them aware of applications, is that their policy is they look at commercial projects with 5,000 or more square feet of impervious ground or subdivisions. So it currently actually doesn't include all the residential permits that we
Let's say
have.
this, but
I thought we always sent it to him anyway.
I-
I thought we always sent Bill Monaco the,
they were very ignorant.
oh,
And Dawn and I worked very hard to make that happen.
gotcha.
And all I'm saying is put it in the policy so it's, for those in the future, it's in black and white.
And so there's an awareness as a result of this, that
Absolutely.
people know that
We gotta wait.
that's.
So is that a call that Dawn made? So I just read the policy. It said, you know, creation of 5,000 or more square feet of impervious ground.
That's
The
their,
applicant, well, the applicant 2600 US Route 202 does that when you add in the parking. And they're moving from, they're going to a commercial. So
you're talking about the
the one we had tonight,
The antiques?
yeah, with the parking, I calculated out the change in parking, and that's definitely over 5,000 square feet of parking.
Well, that's a good question. They're not creating new parking, they're using an existing
Well, some
gravel
existing and a
area.
little bit of new, but it's definitely now going to commercial rather than residential.
Mhm.
So, and they're saying any commercial project, this is a new commercial project, even though part of it is residential. I'm not saying they have to pay anything or do anything, I just said, should you review it?
That's the point I'm trying to make for the agenda.
Yeah, that's, well,
We have, what was exactly what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
It's another safety valve.
Yeah.
That says, okay, we're looking at this. And they're getting a copy of the agenda.
Right, and it would be nice if we get Bill's input though before the applicant comes in, so that we're not sitting on our hands going, does this impact the Cobbossee watershed? Do they have to do anything? Does Bill have any thoughts? You know, it'd be nice to get that to him as soon as possible.
Yes, I could do that tonight. When
On that specific project.
On any project, any project that's, I agree sharing the updates, but one's residential, one's commercial. The commercial's gonna have a bunch of new parking. That to me hits the threshold that they're willing to review, or they basically say they have to review. So that one we need to send to them. We could send them the both, but this is the one that they really have to review.
What's kind of been happening is that, I send an agenda with the digital attachments. But when there's a project that is clearly is gonna need his review, I get a full-size, plan set and application and I bring it down to him.
Okay.
I guess not that many that have, but we've had
Probably
like
not.
3 application meetings with the applicants and,
And this one's just barely over the thresholds. So
but
I
I'll
wouldn't-
send them the digital copies.
But because it's commercial and it's 5,000, that's what he says, so. And I know there's a mixture because the Cobbossee Water District is connected to the state. He oversees the Cobbossee watershed, but that's a state requirement, so we don't wanna go against, what DEP is requiring of them.
Yeah, that hadn't occurred to me, Greg, I have not talked to him about this one, so I'll get that out to him tonight. I don't think he'll look at it tonight, but I'll
I
get
don't-
it in his
yeah,
inbox.
It'd just be nice for him to look at it and be like, oh, no problem, or oh, problem. And, sometimes it's nice to get his thoughts before we get into it.
Yeah, when, in before even they come to you, it's good if they,
Well, as early as we can, so that when they come to us, they have that information. That's really ideal.
The example of what you're talking about is main generators in trains.
Yeah.
And he got in that process early on
He did.
based on the application.
Yep.
That was a big help to us.
Yep.
We understood clearly
Exactly. We
and
understand.
what was left to do.
And I don't know how we would have worked out that whole, like, they bought another chunk of land and
Exactly.
we were like, what?
That all takes time.
Yeah, because of all the rules and balancing of phosphorus, so it was a lot of information. So without Bill, we would have really struggled.
That's
to
good.
make it. Yeah, we got the information to him. He was able to help us make a good decision, make a plan for what they had to do.
and I think we've touched on this before, but something you can do, I'm not necessarily suggesting this, but when it comes to state permitting or like a review like Bill's, you can make that something you have to submit with the application, so it has been done. We don't require that currently, but I'll just put it out there that that's an option if you're finding things to do.
Other items?
Just a couple, quick ones, I'm sorry. In the fall, I'm gonna add on a punch list to follow up on the status of as-built and conditions of things that you've approved, so I'll give you a report. We had talked about that previously, so that I'll just have a tickler so I can share with you the status of some of the conditions that you placed on applications. Status of application 250184, which is the condominium conversion on Turtle Run Road. I talked with them recently, and I had suggested that they put in a request for the board to deny the application without prejudice, which means that they go away and come back when they're ready. They have to request that and it would take a formal motion, but it just takes it off the table. There isn't a downside really to it. What happens is there's a requirements in the ordinance that says you have to make a decision within so many days, and we passed that. So it kind of puts you in a position of you're just gonna have to deny it if they don't put that request in.
January 14th.
January 14th, so the deadline is a week from today, so I'm gonna reach back out to Zach. So when I talked to him, we talked about the pros and cons and what the options are, but he said they are intending to put an application together that would address the concerns that were raised. They've
So-
talked to Bill Monagle, I don't know where they're at beyond
So let's
that.
just put it on the agenda for the 14th and
To take an action one way or another,
take
yeah.
that action one way or
Yeah,
another.
and I think that they'll probably request that it just be taken off the table for now. But we'll know for sure. I'll know for sure on Wednesday.
It cleans it up.
It cleans it up. If there were ordinance amendments and that application is pending, it would preclude them from the requirement, not preclude them, they would not have to adhere to potentially any new ordinance. So that's part of the reason also is you don't just leave it opened up. So we'll button that hatch in January. Button the hatch. So as built, the success application, there was one more thing. Apologize. I just also want to note that the public water will get input from the superintendent of the water district moving forward on that too, as well as Bill Monagle. As I had checked with Dan, but Dan is going to be leaving, so whoever the new person is, we want to make sure we loop him in on that in addition to Bill. And that there was support for it initially, so that'll be part of information for your next discussion. I think that is it.
Just a question, I think it happened before I came on the board, it may have been the project that you put on hold, I don't know. How do you office the veterinary hospital, veterinary? Big project going on up there, is that a solar farm?
Yeah.
Was that the one that you held up before you made the?
Nope, it was on the solar ordinance, they're required to have a 50-foot buffer. One of these days I'm gonna stop and measure because they can't claim the 50-foot vegetated buffer, so they have to replant.
I wondered about
They
that.
have to replant if they
So
took
they're
down
down
the
there pretty
trees.
close to the buffer.
And they can't claim any of the 202 right of way as their buffer. They need to have it from their true property line and 50 feet in.
There's both on the Windsor page on Facebook, people questioning whether I got calls.
Yep, and
I
I
wasn't
believe,
for the time.
I believe I sent Mark an email back in October. I think they had until March to have substantial completion, because they have a 2-year window. So you have to have, it's a 2-year window, Mark said, and they have to be substantially complete. Two,
It's a
Months, wasn't it?
2 year to start,
Okay.
and then
2 years to be substantially complete,
okay,
3 years to be complete. That's how it's always been.
okay, 2 years, but it's 2 years to be substantially complete.
Right, but did they meet the 1 year start?
I don't know, I mean, they
I don't
brush
think so
hogged it
either.
down or something,
Then
so I don't know.
well, I mean,
you know.
I thought it was going away because nothing had happened. All of a
If they
sudden. I
missed
see
the
some
1 year
excavators.
start, there's no appeal to that.
Right,
Okay, that's what happened on Island Park, right? For all those high priced lawyers they had, they wanted to put like 40 condos up there. And they, the neighbors, well, they got mouthy with the neighbors, and the neighbors raised about 10 grand. Hired a lawyer, tied them up for a couple months. Then they went 1 year over their start date, and all those highfalutin lawyers, we're on the record, aren't we? Oh, Jesus. So anyway, they forgot to file an appeal, because the only way to get an appeal at that time at least was if you were in a legal entanglement. So that's why they had to start all over, and we have 4 or 5 houses out there that are condos.
So back to the solar farm, so, have you shared that concern with that?
I haven't, I mean, I asked, my only concern with him, because I haven't actually stopped yet. I wanna stop when it's light, it seems like I drive by when it's dark every day, so I have to be there when it's light.
They were all close as we get.
And they have to have a 50-foot vegetated buffer, and if they elevated the land near that 50-foot buffer, that's not gonna be in the spirit of the ordinance. Because they gave us a view shed analysis with a 25-foot, you can't raise the ground. And then all of a sudden now we can put our solar panels higher, that's not the point. The point is the existing topography.
I don't understand why why did they clear cut in the buffer area? Why didn't they leave that stand and
And
then
I don't
come to
think
you and say, we're gonna leave this natural?
that's what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
That's what we required them to do. They cut a lot more, and I believe they've moved earth. I'm gonna check within 75 feet of the ditch, and there's no silt fence. So they're already in violation of shoreline zoning.
So I remember we talked a lot about, we did view shed.
Oh,
And
yeah,
you're
that's
not
my
gonna be able to
favorite
see
thing.
this, maybe a little bit when
There'll be
you're
a little
coming in.
bit or certain.
Right now, I can see
Yeah.
that whole layout
Yeah,
where they're gonna be.
Well, it says very clearly they have to plant evergreens in that 50-foot buffer if they don't exist, and they have to be 8 feet apart.
But they did.
wait, is that what you could see when you're coming 202?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right across
That's
the
what you can see?
That's what we're talking
You
about.
can see the whole front
No, wait, when you're
area.
driving up, that's the
The-
big
the
one
big
here. I
clear
thought that
next to
was
the
up
beach.
on,
No, this is gonna be a solar farm.
They're level
No, I know
now.
it's gonna be a solar farm, I'm
So-
just saying the spot that you can see cleared from further away as you're coming up a
They got
different hill.
bulldozers up there, they're level.
I thought that was up on Metcalf. or-
They're not
You
just
know what I'm
putting
talking
solar
about?
farm in on top. of
So I guess
the
a long,
They're both posted.
I know.
Moving a lot.
So-
short of it is,
The question, honestly, for future reference, if you allow existing forest, vegetative buffer to remain, then would you make the applicant cut it down, put evergreens, or would you just say that's good enough, that's
They
fine?
have to plant evergreens.
Supplement,
They have to supplement with evergreens. Because, I mean, if you're in a hardwood forest, yes, but you don't take the stumps, and that's what they're doing, is they're stumping it.
They're digging it all.
They're digging it out.
So even if you have a forest that you can't see through 50 feet, you still have to plant evergreens in the middle?
Yeah.
So Don, it looks like.
That's the requirement in
Please
order.
make sure Mark is aware of it.
I'll email him. I know that Aaron White was in the other night before meeting and was asking about it, and I have pulled the file to see that they did get a permit, but I haven't checked anything in terms of, beyond that one was issued, you know, what the
I
status is.
believe-
It was definitely more than a year, cause
Yeah.
I questioned,
Oh, yeah, way
oh, I
over
guess
a
they're
year.
not
Yeah,
gonna
way
be able
over
to
a
do
year.
it, cause it was over
It
a
was
year
way
when they
over.
started work.
No, you've
For
been on
sure.
board way over.
I think I checked, and I think 2 years is this Mark.
Yeah.
Remember?
But they just started.
They just started a month ago.
Just started.
That's why I called Mark, or I sent him an email, because they just
haven't come
started.
back in here for it to renew the approval.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know
can check on
what,
the status. of
I know
that.
they didn't come in here, no.
Yeah, they would have to
Well,
have come to us,
But
right?
they've been, 18 months, they're done.
Yeah,
They need
well,
to
'cause
stop.
they all
working.
have to wait for CMP, they're all in like a line with CMP
Yeah,
to get their approval.
Right.
Well, it's
But
worth,
that's not our
I've been on
problem.
the board a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah, it's
I did not
definitely,
sit through
it wasn't
Okay.
even a question, I was shocked that I saw the
it's just
excavator.
Well, it's a year start, so, and if they, didn't get their CMP permits and they were waiting for that, I mean, that's kind of their problem.
That's what, yeah,
Yeah,
well,
not
then they
Shouldn't
need
even
to.
come in for the permit unless they got CMP clear.
Well, it sounds to me like it needs to cease and desist.
Well, the
They
city,
do a lot of damage, I guess. The other piece of it I haven't asked is, where is that relative to the drinking water supply?
it's far enough away, it's
It
over
is.
1,000 feet, yeah.
Would I consider it when it was approved?
Yep, we looked at it says it's not in it. There is a stream on the west side.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're more than 75 feet away.
That was it, that was the only
And that was the
concern with it.
only, there was no vernal pools, there was no depressions, there's no wetlands, nothing on any of the maps to indicate that there was any, and so,
We thought it wasn't a bad spot, to be honest.
No, we
Because it was
just didn't
gonna have
wanna see
good
it.
Buffer, it wasn't
and
in the view shed.
with the view shed analysis, you really couldn't see it. Mount Pisgah, you could see it in a few other
Yeah.
places, but it was really hard to see any part of it.
Well, apparently there's a practice or a habit of clear cutting
Mhm.
and not maintaining buffers. Because if you're down in Manchester, right there across Gilder's Choice,
Yeah.
Mm.
out behind there.
Yeah.
You talk to folks that are in that neighborhood, they clear cut right up to their property, didn't pay the buffer.
Well,
Does
if you're,
Manchester have a buffer and it's?
I was gonna say, we were,
Ordinance.
in Winthrop, it says the same thing. The first
Yeah.
6 we had approved do not have a buffer.
Right.
The buffer was added in our
That one
solar
did.
ordinance.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, yes.
So obviously it's out of my hands, we approved it, now it's a compliance issue, so
Whether or not the permit expired, yeah.
expired, well, they fulfilling what the expectations were.
Very well documented.
Yes.
It goes out.
Yeah, I'll take a look and I'll
See
just
what it
mention
says
tomorrow
about
this
the buffer.
discussion.
Yeah.
So, anytime.
Yeah.
Pretty well.
When we
It
approved
was
it.
pretty well done.
Those are 2 points I want to make. Aaron, Andy?
I'm good, I hate to drop the hammer on a business like they're trying to develop that solar field up there, but the rules are rules.
Yeah,
Okay, they knew what the rules are when they started, and if they did it backwards and didn't want to invest any money until CMP approval, that they're out of compliance, they need cease and desist. Let's start over, all over again.
Becky Lane and Winona Drive, they had an issue with the timing of CMP, and they came back and asked the board to renew their approval.
Right, it is the right one,
Yes.
Yeah,
So it's not,
these folks did. Yeah.
No, I just wanted to let you all know I took the position as the superintendent.
cool.
This is my last meeting.
Because
Aww.
you can't do both.
The trustees felt it would be a conflict of interest. I would, half of what we discussed tonight. So, we didn't make any decisions on anything, so I think it's okay. But
Congratulations.
Yes,
That's
congratulations.
awesome.
Yep.
I appreciate everybody's being gracious to me. And A lot of what I've learned here, I'll be able to carry with me, so I'm glad I was here. I've learned a lot, so.
Maybe we'll need your advice on things and we'll ask you to come in.
Give me a few.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure we'll work together later.
Maybe a month or so.
Yeah. Wire two of the pump stations in the floodplain, come on. I got my questions already. You didn't know that, did you?
So you will be missed on the board for your expertise. I always appreciated the business you're in. Two, you deal with several communities of permitting, which is a perspective we don't have. And that will be missed big time. So appreciate everything you've done with us, your contribution, and we'll miss you big time.
Also,
It's like Craig knew you were leaving and he brought in
You can have the
goodbye
last
snack.
one.
There you
Pass
go.
that down, he needs the last one. You need two, you can take it home, no? Thank
so
you.
there's a group of departments that, when their applications come in, they get circulated, we've done site visits in the water district as one, so you'll have an opportunity one way or another, just to make comment on applications, maybe a different perspective, but, so that would be helpful.
Andy, with that in mind, you were talking before about board action, council action, rather. Brent will become our regular member. That means we have no more, we have no alternate.
Okay, so
Which
I'll
we need.
get a
We have
message.
no alternates.
Aaron and I, actually Aaron's the chair of the appointments committee, and then I'm on the appointments committee, so I'll get a word with Aaron right away, and,
So what do we need, two, at least two?
Two.
At least
Well, because
two.
you think Betty's been, I think she's having a harder time coming in right now,
At
right?
least two,
Yeah.
and possibly three.
And
Yeah.
Jim's
And
still good.
Jim, and Jim as well.
And I talked to Jim
As
today,
always.
and he did say he still wanted to stay on the board, because he's been
Yeah.
coming to downtown committee meetings. But he said he does still want to stay on the board and.
Okay.
Jim's
But
fine.
he hearing aids, so we can participate
Oh,
more
good.
easily.
Yeah,
As
Jim's
far as
fine.
alternates, we need two or three. Appreciate it if you could take.
Okay,
You guys are giving me so much pressure that I have to come in every meeting, like,
Did I cover everybody?
you have to understand that.
I was gonna.
I was the one that encouraged Jamie to join the board, so the more pressure you put on her, the more it comes back at me.
I was gonna say that after.
Yeah, right?
Motion to adjourn.
Dang.
I don't, Merry Christmas,
Second.
everybody, I do
Merry Christmas.
appreciate the fact that you apparently like to see me back. It's not up to me, so we'll see what happens. Okay, and you know what, if you want an outside opinion at some point, and I don't end up getting called back in here, I can come in and sit right over there. and tell you what I think.
I have a motion down.
Second.
I have a second.
Yep.
All in favor? And I appreciate you folks coming out, extra meeting in December just before Christmas, based on the one we canceled last week. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
And
I assume,
we took care of a piece of business that needed to be taken care of.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
I will not be here for the January